Let's get right to it because it was a horribly tragic event that sparked a global movement for racial justice and police reform. So how did you all feel yesterday? We want to hear from you. We are reading your comments. When you saw that Derek Chauvin was found guilty on all counts of murdering George Floyd, you know, my husband and I felt relief. But Al, I love you. You're my brother. We're family. What emotions did you go through yesterday?
Well, Sam, first of all, the feeling is mutual. I always tell people, like, you and I are wired in a weird way, but we're exactly the same person. We just present differently to the world.
You
but
are
you and I
are the same person.
Are very similar, and you know, I think you hit on the head when you said feelings. Relief is definitely there. Sadness for the Floyd family, because as a person, Lindsey and Tory, I just always think about. Yes, we're talking about this now, but in a year we'll be talking about the Golden Globes and the next Super Bowl champion. But George Floyd won't be at Thanksgiving. What is that cashier going to be thinking about 5 years from now when he's still sitting at a red light, beating himself up for calling the cops? All of these, the ripple effects of trauma are so severe, and this is why gun reform is so important, or just violence reform, because it's not just one person's dead, one person's in jail, and let's go to lunch. This lasts forever, and it affects generations, and that's why people haphazardly buying guns, shooting guns, or in this case, just using violence and power and privilege is not just a one-off. It affects people in perpetuity.
Yeah. Lindsey, how are you feeling yesterday when you were, one, awaiting the verdict, and then when you heard the verdict?
It was sad because, you know, I was thinking that we're going to see another case where we get let down with the verdict and where we see we don't have any semblance of justice. I know that black people experienced so much trauma over the last year, including myself, you know, to watch George Floyd lose a brother, lose a mother, and then watch his daughter still be alive and have to live without him. I think justice that every person of color is seeking would be that George Floyd would still be alive today, like Al was saying, and not be killed at the hands of the police for something that could have been avoided basically over $20. I mean, we want a world where our children could grow up, I think, and be adults that don't have to be in fear of their life. And as somebody that's about to have a baby, I constantly am scared about what's going to happen next and where my child's going to be and fit in this world, and if we will actually get the reforms and change that we need to, you know, so that my child can be safe in this world. I think it feels good to say justice for once, but on the same breath that we said justice, we saw Ma'Khia Bryant get killed by the police for something that she could have been apprehended, and I think she could have been talked to, just like these mass shooters are talked to and walked to police precincts instead of killed. And it's always the shoot first and respond later. And I really just want to know what the actual change will be, because in the same breath that we can say, thank God, you know, we have one semblance of justice, we still have so much growth to do in order to make this a safe place for black young women, black young men, and black people in general. And so my heart, it just hurts for this family to know that, you know, we can call Derek Chauvin a murderer. So thank God for that. He's not walking around like another pedestrian, but that's the only justice that I see right now. And real justice will require real laws to get enacted.
Lindsey, first off, I haven't been able to say Mazel Tov. I'm so happy for you that you're having a baby. Yes. Okay, but back to everything you've said, I just wanted to emphasize, agree, justice it would be if George Floyd were still alive. This was accountability. And I think for people of color, you had the Emmett Tills, you had all these Rodney Kings, you had all these verdicts where we were all holding our breath and nothing ever happened. And so we were so thrilled at least that this went forward. I'll just say this as well, as when I saw him handcuffs, that was it for me.
Right.
I wanted him to be physically restrained. I wanted him to have his hands behind his back. I wanted him taken out by a white cop. And I think that visual was important because of what he did to George Floyd.
And I just want to say before we move on, because we do have an attorney to answer some of our questions, I think what you said, Al, really struck me, because in that moment when you talked about the ripple effect, I immediately saw visions, right, of not only, of course, George Floyd's family, and may George Floyd rest in peace, but you also have to think about the people that knew Derek Chauvin, right? And I'm not even going to speak about Derek Chauvin, but the people that perhaps were not like him and good people, they forever have to live with that tarnished legacy. And then you think about the community. Then you think about the police officers out there who are good police officers. It puts their life in danger. It puts more distrust, rightfully so, between police officers and their communities. So one man destroyed so many people's lives, so many people's lives. He should not ever get out. I know that's not on the table, but he should remain behind bars for the rest of his life.